We're on. Okay. Well, welcome to tonight's live devlog and Q&A. We're doing it a bit differently, and as you already know, everything is live. So probably going to be technical problems somewhere along the line. But the idea of the devlog is to actually give you an insight into what we've been doing, a live look at everything we've been doing, and then take some Q&As. But first, we're going to talk about something that we've been working on for a long time. So very recently, we had the ability to work with a firm that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. That is Historic Helicopters. They're down in deepest, darkest Somerset in the UK, but they are the guys responsible for keeping alive, and very well keeping alive, a lot of historic helicopters, as the name might suggest. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail just yet about what we've been doing with them, but those more astute amongst you probably already know by now. But we've spent a whole day there scanning things, going inside and out on these aircraft, and basically we're cooking up something really, really interesting for the future. But keeping that on a rotary theme, I'm going to introduce somebody to the stream.
Hello, hello.
So, welcome to our stream, AD. AD is from Project
Thank you.
Stratosphere. Again, a name that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. But yeah, AD, the worst kept secret really in the sim world at the minute. But I just want to tell everybody why you're here on our dev stream.
Absolutely. So, a few months ago in October, I reached out to Gabriel and Dan um, for help with my BO105 project, which I've been working on for about 1.5, 2 years now. Um, and yeah, we've been working together for the last few months, and I think what we've got now on our hands is really cool, which is what we'll walk you through today.
Yeah, we certainly will. And how long have you, or how long has the 105 been going for you as this big passion project?
So I announced it about 3 years ago, but then life got in the way, and I've kind of taken it up since August um, of 2024, and it's sort of been on and off. Again, I've been busy with university, but here we are now, really close to getting this out there to everybody.
Mm, I, it's certainly worth it. From the initial project that we got was something already of a stellar level. We've then done our thing to it, and we've added our little Miltech magic to basically everything. And I am
Absolutely.
only confident that the even in a development, again, remember it's a live dev stream, so even in this state that we're going to show everybody today, I think it is probably going to be the finest rotary aircraft. And I know we said that about our MH60, but we've always got to raise the bar. So I don't know. I think it's probably time to show it off a bit, don't you?
Absolutely. Let's go for it.
Good timing. So the 105. So this particular one that we are showing off here, we've got many, many variants, and we'll walk you through a fair few of them. But this is the tank hunter killer variant. But I've chosen this one just to introduce you all to it because I think it's basically the coolest looking 105 that we've got, though they all have their own different things. So we'll start off by showing the walk around features. So as you come to expect from our things, we get a bit obsessed with the walk around features, and the 105 is absolutely no different. So you've got the expected things. You know, you can open doors, you can get in fluidly. Um, Down here we have fun things like chocks. You can You can find bugs. You can remove the pitos. We have blade socks and blade bend already, because everybody loves blade bend. We'll go round to the back of the aircraft. In fact, let's do a whole pre-flight on it. So get to these, go under the tail, just have a look in here. And that's something for a moment. Around here, you'll see we've got these pretty awesome looking hot launchers. No workable weapons in this one, I'm afraid, but that's just because of project scope, really. We didn't think that for the one variant in the 9, that I think it's 9 that we've got with the 105, that it was really worth adding those working weapons, but who knows for the future. So we'll go to a new cool thing that we've got, the nose hatch. So we've modeled this, pretty accurately. You can actually disconnect the battery as well if you wanted to when you're doing your full walk arounds. We'll get that hatch closed up. And now, another interesting thing that everybody's been asking us for. Initially, this came up on the MH60, and that was people wanted the ability, let's say you've landed, and you actually want to put your covers and chocks back on. Well, we have a nifty little system now where you can go into the cargo hold of the aircraft and actually just reattach everything so you can put the aircraft back to bed, which is it's quite a neat feature, really. Now, one of the other fun things that I was going to show, I can't actually get to because of these. So I think this would be a good time for us to switch to just another variant of the 105. And I think for that, we will go to the medical one. So here we have a pretty typical example of a Medivac 105. So as you can see, no rocket launchers on this one because that's not really what you want for picking up medical emergencies. But all of the different variants have their subtle differences. So if we look in the back here now, we have a stretcher. You still have the FUD box. The FUD box will always spawn in the cargo hold. It also shows that we can have a look at this. So you can actually take the fuel cap off, and at the right angle, you can actually check your fuel level if you wanted to from there. It's just a fun little walk around thing. But we'll get the back of this aircraft opened up so you can see the medical cabin. And there we go. We have all of the medical bits and bobs in the back. And of course, that big crate. I know they wouldn't necessarily carry that crate around in service, but it's the sim. So it's very interesting to note as well that we have actually modeled cabin differences. So again, as I say, this is a live stream, so we do have some things going on like the AO. But different aircraft will have different avionics sets. So the older aircraft have a slightly older setup, newer aircraft have a more modern comm nav, the sort of thing that you'd expect. All of them in 24 have this tablet, and the both versions will have the GPS. Just makes it easier for those of you that want to fly on that sort of thing. But to have a look at, I think another interesting feature we've got is probably on the civilian. So let's spawn in a weird looking one. So right away you can see this one is a bit different. Much taller. I don't think it looks that bad, but it certainly grows on you. Now, whilst I have a look around this one, because some of you may recognize it from some famous YouTubers, we won't go any further than that, but it's a really good time to point out that each livery, and depending on the variant, they all have different levels of weathering, things like that. And you can get right in and actually see the detail that we've gone to on this one. It features things like rain on the fuselage. which looks pretty cool. But that's not what I wanted to show off with the civilian variants. What I wanted to show off is our got caught on the tail there. Is our fun cargo loading system. So you can dynamically load cargo into the back of your 105. It does affect weight dynamically, and it's very easy. Let's say we don't want all of these things. You can just click through to add, remove. It's entirely dynamic. You don't need to use the flight bag or anything like that. It's just a neat little feature, really. And this one can show off a few more walk around features as well, because you can check the landing skids. You can check other bits and bobs. Let's have a look at some of the rotor detail, actually, because why not? It looks good. So everything's faithfully and realistically modeled on this. The detail is great. It's very accurate to the true form. And AD, if I'm right, it's a CBS5 variant, isn't it?
That is, yes, it's a CBS5 variant.
So what is it that differentiates a CBS5 to, say, other 105s that might have been seen at air shows and things like that?
Right. So the CBS5 is actually quite popular. I think the certain big energy drink brand runs aerobatic shows with them. Um, but really, it's all about the length of the entire body. It's been stretched a little bit, and if you notice, there's one extra window compared to a lot of the
Yeah.
other BO105s that you'll see. So
So
yeah, it's
that's
just bigger and
that.
it's designed for different sort of operations.
It certainly looks good. It's a very fast, capable looking helicopter. Now, before we get onto that bit, you mentioned a certain energy drinks company. To anyone asking, no, we don't have those liveries, I'm afraid. That is just simply because of licensing restraints. We can't do them. We can't safely do them without getting into trouble. So what we have done is representations of most 105s from all different corners of the world. We do have an X energy drink one, just without those logos, but I think we're very much relying on the community to bring those paints for us, because we can't. So those of you with good eyes can see our whole listing here for liveries. We've got tons of liveries. We've got tons of variants. I'll show off another interesting one, because we know that this variant, or at least the FLIR aspect, so you can see that's been added into the cockpit now, that was always popular on the MH60. So we thought, well, we need a reason to add it to this aircraft. So we have. So you can fly a police helicopter with this pretty huge spotlight on the front, and of course, everybody's favourite FLIR turret. And yes, it does work. Exactly the same sort of system as the MH60. It's just an added layer of fun, isn't it? And now I think what I will spawn into is my favourite looking one, which is the semi-navalized version of the 105. Just looks really cool with these floats. And of course, the KLM livery. So KLM actually operated 4 of these. They weren't all CBS5, but they did operate some CBS5. This livery sort of a crossover period, so it just suits the aircraft more, in my opinion. But the interesting thing on this one is the float gear. So I think in a bit we might try and look at actually going for a flight and crashing it into the sea, because the floats do work. You can emergency deploy them, and it's quite neat looking. But yeah, it's quite a comprehensive package, really. AD, are there any standout things that you'd like to point out for people?
I think in terms of the cockpit, yeah, it just looks really nice. I've been working on it for a few months, and actually, I've announced it in April. and the variant that I was originally going to go with was not nearly as comprehensive as what we have now, especially given the glass cockpit we have now as well. Um, and yeah, I mean the artwork is done so well. Um, you can go up close to like pretty much any surface, and you don't lose any detail. Um, and that's of course in part Dan's excellent work as well. They've also added
It's
that sleeve down there with the documents and
yeah. No, I was going to go to that because I'd almost forgotten. So we have our little document portfolio here, and the notepad. So if I just find the no, okay. Sim doesn't want to play there, so we'll do it up here. So you can actually usually no. Okay, so again, reminder: it's a live stream. Things go wrong. Brilliant. So you can actually bring that notebook out and read your checklists and stuff. But as you can see here, the notebook for some reason is not playing ball, which I think might be because we are using the live spawn function. Can't really see the rotor detail from there, but it is awesome. We of course have the working wiper tech that you've come to love from everything else that we've done. Yeah. Do we have? Well, let's take our lives into our own hands. Do we have any requests from anybody to see anything in the chat? Just give you a moment to furiously type something. Whilst I try and find more things to show off.
we can also look at the mass moment indicator in the cockpit at some point, maybe when we're taking a flight.
Hopefully. Hopefully. Oh. Let's have a look at some of the liveries, shall we? Whilst we wait for people's comments to come in. So we'll spawn the favourite livery of our stream and YouTube aficionado. Fazzy absolutely loves this one. So this is a Swedish one, so a slightly different military variant. As you can see, it doesn't have the anti-tank gear, but it does have defensive gear on it. It still has the antenna. And it also has big wire shrikes, which make these things look pretty mean, actually. This is quite a cool scheme, just because, again, it shows off. You saw the famous YouTubers 105 looking really shiny, and then you've got this beast, which is actually not too well loved, really.
I have a couple of livery requests here in the chat.
Oh,
ADAC livery,
okay.
we have them.
Okie dokie. So now we're talking. So ADARC would be medical. So
Medical.
yep. So there is our ADARC. I chose this one simply because it's now we can be corrected on this. Happy to take the modifications, but the photos I've seen of this one, I think she lives in a museum now, because it's a slightly more modernized ADARC livery compared to what I think the 105s actually used to fly with. But either way, it definitely suits the aircraft. It's a good color on it.
Then a second request, perhaps a more personal request, the NYPD livery, just for the American public.
NYPD.
Because yeah, I mean, this is a very European aircraft, but it also saw service at least in the NYPD. So,
and there we go. With that big camera and searchlight, they'll be finding anything. It's a pretty cool looking aircraft. I mean, it's the wonderful thing, isn't it, about the 105? It's been used by militaries, civilians, medical, policing, naval, airlines. It's been used everywhere. It's a really cool aircraft, and it's really it's quite unique in that respect because it was one of the first. I think it was the aircraft that actually formed the backbone of the British Air Ambulance as well when it was first a thing. So it has a lot of history. One we haven't looked at is the broadcast variant. So this one's a slightly different one. We have the FLIR terminal again, but broadcast variant just has a slightly different camera on the front. So you could emulate your favorite energy drink aircraft with that one potentially. It's worth also just pointing out that on the aerobatic variant that we've got in this very suspect paint scheme, it does have smoke pods. These are still a work in progress, but you will be able to actually load up the smoke pods and choose your colors and then be able to activate them. So when you're flying, you can again emulate some of the displays that you might have seen in the real world or on YouTube. It's not the nicest paint scheme, but I think it still sort of suits it. But I wonder, so do we have any more requests before I try and crash this into the sea and then we move on with our little dev blog?
I don't see any requests just yet, but I see a couple of questions. Maybe you guys can answer those.
Yes.
Release date for the BO105.
There's always one
That,
about
of
the
course,
release
was
date.
coming.
Release date, we don't have anything set in stone yet, but it's a lot sooner than you think, I think is the safest
It's
way
very
to
close,
put
I
it.
think.
Yeah, it's very close. We're very much just adding the final touches, adding the customizations to it, shoring up things like you can see here, there are some little texture issues and things like that. And I think the sound's already 99% there, done of course by Echo 19. And I think we're just going to have those looked at again for this new build that we've got going. It's also worth saying that at the moment it is an FS24 native build and an FS20 build. I know there's been some turbulence in the community recently about where developers are going with this. For the moment, and insofar as we can, we'll do packages for both. Who knows what the future brings, but this one's going to be for both. So
Couple more comments. German police. I think we have one livery.
yeah, I will.
Yeah. And then BO use them as FS models. Yeah, it's 100% native FS24 native flight model. This one doesn't have any autopilot or SAS, so it's old school flight modeling.
It is, and that's the thing that's slightly worrying me about this live demo we're about to do with it. I'm not very good at flying rotary aircraft. So we're just waiting for the sim to do its thing. What was the question? Sorry, about German. Yes, okay, so we've got DH sub, as in Polizei. We've got Chiltern Air Support UK, New York City Police, and I won't ruin the word by saying it fully, but it's CICPC.
Yep.
They're one of the police variants that we've got. But let's just load up the floats for one final little demo. But which one do we take? AD, which one do you think we take? The Guardia Civil, Canadian Coast Guard, or KLM?
I don't think we have shown off the Canadian version yet, so let's go for that one.
Okie dokie. So
People also want to see the rotor head up close. So maybe it's a good opportunity as well.
Yeah. It's interesting thing to note about this is because, again, everybody loves a bit of blade flex when it comes to rotary aircraft in the sim, and we do have it. It's just obviously the 105 has quite a rigid rotor. It's famous for it. So don't expect wild blade flex, but I would think it's yeah. So God. Just bring that drone speed down a little bit. So obviously that's the rotor in action. It's probably not the best time to see the detail on it, but you can see it's all the lovely FS24 interpolated rotor. And hopefully you can hear it as well, because it does sound awesome. So what we're going to do here is try and find some water and crash. But we might crash before we get there, so... It's very difficult to try and fly a helicopter and do a live stream at the same time, I'll tell you that. And find the sea. So what's also worth saying about this is you can see how fluid it's running and how natural it is. We haven't actually done any of our late stage optimizations on it yet. It's fair to say this is a lot lighter than anything else that we've worked on, but thanks to leveraging the modular system, it's incredibly performant. You certainly won't get any slow frames with this one. But here we go. So let's switch to the outside. And oh, okay. It's nice of air traffic. So we'll now show off the floats. And there we go. May have landed it a little hard there, but we have deployed the floats. Which actually, I think, make the 105 look even cooler. We're certainly going to need them because it looks like I'm going to crash again. But yeah, oh. I think, especially with my excellent flying, this might be the time for us to move on to our next segment, and hopefully it gives you all a bit of time to think about any questions for the end of our dev stream about this aircraft or the development of it, or anything you want to do with it, really. So yeah, we will leave that with you and move on to our next segment. Oh. Yeah, we crashed.
Right.
There we go.
Okay. I'll take over. Well, first of all, thank you, Dan, for showing up, showing the VO105. We're very excited to work with Addy, with Project Stratosphere in this project. As you saw, it looks great. It's a very, it's a very interesting helicopter. Many operators, very popular, especially in Europe. But as you saw, there's quite a few North American operators as well, South American as well. So yeah, I'm gonna be talking a bit about updates and U2 CH53, which I know a lot of people are excited about. First of all, Mission Hub update. The V1.1.3, so that's the latest update. Basically, just patching cold and dark start issues. A few issues with the ships has been released just a few minutes ago. So it's available on Contrail right now, and it's going to be available on IndyBuilds very shortly as well. It is also approved for release on Marketplace. I just approved it just minutes before the stream, so roughly in about a week, maybe even Thursday next week, it's going to be available for the Marketplace people. There's a bit of a small change log here. You can also see the change log on our Discord server. So next up for Mission Hub, things are looking very positive for FS24 Marketplace release. So that is PC and Xbox. We currently are testing the final version on Xbox, particularly on PC works fine. It's just Xbox that sometimes has, a few issues loading the missions. So we are doing a final round of testing. Hopefully tonight we should have something approved. However, there is still a chance, I haven't tested Xbox on the final version, there's still a chance that this might require another delay. So I don't want to make any promises. I'm just telling you guys it's looking positive. So far has been working fine, but there's a few things that were just fine-tuned. Let's see if it works fine. In terms of the near future of Mission Hub, V1.2 is scheduled for March, hopefully early March. And this one's going to be focused primarily on over-the-cloud mission sharing. So we want to make all missions available for PC and console users directly into the Mission Hub app. We are creating a website where you can upload your missions, and then you can share missions with your friends. You can download missions that other people has created. So this is something that we are actively working on. Hopefully by March, everything is up to the deployed and up and running. The other big thing that is coming to Mission Hub is random and everywhere. A lot of people are requesting this feature. It's something that it has been on a roadmap from day one, and the Mission Hub application supports this sort of missions. It's just a matter of finding the right way of doing it. I know a lot of people don't want to be reloading the sim, reloading the flight every time they want to do a new mission. So it's something we are looking into and working on. Finally, a few new vehicles are coming to Mission Hub. We have seen your requests for civilian vehicles, trucks, things like that, and more sling load options. If you have any ideas, any requests, please let us know, because we are working on those vehicles right now. Alrighty, so that's Mission Hub. Then MX60, the big update V1.1 is releasing in a few days. We know it has taken a long time. We have been working through other updates, so Mission Hub C17, CH48, all of these have gone live already. So MH60 is the next big update that is going to release. We are expecting this one to release in a few days. We are still fine-tuning the last details. It's $35 and fixes, particularly on those 4 categories. So it's going to be multiplayer and AI. The multiplayer sounds issues, the GPU showing up on multiplayer issue. Then the power and engines, particularly the APU issues, should be all corrected. We are doing a lot of testing to make sure it's fixed once and for all. AFCS and flight models. So we have done a few improvements to the way AFCS handles edge cases. So for example, when you are departing from a very low altitude, there's also a few improvements on the high altitude performance of the helicopter. So currently, when you get to certain altitude, the engine just dies. Shouldn't be the case anymore. It should be a bit more subtle, the transition, like the helicopter is struggling to gain altitude and eventually engines die. Avionics, we are improving visibility on the PFD, altitude, and speed. We have had a few comments, particularly from console users, that the numbers are very small. So we are making it a bit easier to read. And there's also a few improvements on backend things to make sure the simulator runs better performing, less memory, sort of things. And then there's going to be a second update in February. This one is a bit more complex. So all of the issues that are related to loading, for example, whenever one of the gauges crashes because of a loading issue, the map crashes because of loading, those issues should be resolved, but those are a bit more complex, so it requires a bit more time. Any issues with VOR, attack, and HSI should be also resolved on the second half of the update. And a few other issues with sounds, particularly when you open the doors, when you remove doors, those should be also patched. So these are the two big updates coming for MX60. Now we go on to, this is a changelog. It's very long, so I'm going to put this on Discord in a few minutes. Super Carrier. So there's two big updates coming up to Super Carrier. There's the USS Intrepid, which is a free update for everyone, FS20, FS24. Everyone's going to get the USS Intrepid. As you can see, there's a nice picture here. We have a few more in October's DEVLOG. The ETA for this one is February. So as soon as the first update is released for the MH60, this one's going to be rolled out. Idea for the USS Intrepid is that you also use the A1H with it. It's from Vietnam, so it's a nice pair for the A1H. And then there's a quality of life update for FS24 in particular, specifically console users. There's a few issues with performance, and then there's also the fact that since FS24 was released, the Top Gun expansion is no longer available, so there's no crew on the decks. We are creating our own crew models to put and repopulate the deck, basically. So that's updates. Now, project updates, new projects. I'm just going to do a quick recap on the U2 and show you a few more things. Quick recap, there's going to be two variants primarily, the U2R, which is analog cockpit with 10 liveries, and I'm going to speak about liveries in a few minutes. There's the U2S digital cockpit with 12 liveries. This is going to be an FS20 and FS24 project. So for the U2, we are also including 5 sceneries: Groom Lake, Fairford, Akrotiri, Osan, and a small airstrip in near the USSR. And there's also going to be missions for Mission Hub. Okay, so it's going to be a full package. We have two different kinds of products these days. We have the single aircraft product, and then we have like full packages. This is one of those full package products. Timelines, we don't have any timelines at this time. You will see that the project is advancing. It's a lot better than it was a few years ago when we first announced it. But this is a project that we want to make well, so it's going to take a few more months, potentially a couple more months, before we are comfortable to roll it out. Of course, updates to projects that have been released already takes precedence, so that also delays a few things, delays the process for new products. So MA60, the carriers, all of that is taking precedence before continuing on the YouTube. This is the current state of the external model. As you can see, the model has been completely, or well, not completely, but it has been remodeled extensively. So engines, spoilers, landing gear has been completely remodeled. It's a lot more detail and more accurate than it was when we first announced it. There's also a lot more accessories, so the span is well modeled now. There's different types of nose attachments that you can change from the aircraft displays. From the MFD, we're going to have functions to configure the aircraft. So it's a lot more comprehensive than it was initially. This is also the first layer of texturing we do on this model. There's going to be a lot more detail added, but as you can see, we are also adding, the scrap metal details on the corners, the scrap paint. Sorry, you can see the PBRs are better and have more depth than initially. So we're doing a lot of work to make sure that the models are as accurate as possible, both exterior and interior. As you can see, this is the R variant. The ejection seat was completely remodeled. We showed an untextured version a few months ago. This is a fully textured version, and these are close to final textures. There's a few details that need to be corrected. But in general, the materials are better, have more depth, higher resolution as well, since we're using the modular structure in FS24. So systems are very advanced as well. For the U2R, we have multiple pages. We have multiple displays. We have the storm scope that is fully functional and it's completed. We have an altitude, speed, and vertical speed indicator. There's a small screen right next to the storm scope that is also completed. Radio units, the INS is a lot more comprehensive than it used to be a few months ago. So we are doing a lot of work to make sure the system depth on this aircraft is also very nice. And for the U2S, we are doing the full avionics suite. So that includes a lot of pages. It's fairly complex and there's not a lot of information available. So we are, putting images together to get a very comprehensive avionics suite for this one. As you can see, here is the INS initialization screen and the communication screen. So a few of the miscellaneous assets that are going to be included with this one. We have Pilot Vasi here. It's named after, or Dear Vasi, which is part of our team. He's obsessed with the U2, and we dedicated the pilot to him. The pilot model, as you can see, is fairly well detailed. There's a few details that need to be added to that model as well. We are also modeling the Dragon food, the small food tubes that the U2 pilots use. A little Easter egg. We love Easter eggs, so those are modeled as well. Ground service equipment, the scenery assets, and the sound. Well, ground service and scenery assets are done. Sound design has been started as well. So that's the U2, then CH53. So this one's going to release after the U2. U2 is going to come first, then CH53. We have separate teams working on this. So they are moving in parallel, not necessarily not necessarily many months between releases. CH53 is 16 liveries, the Echo variant. MH53 is 3 liveries so far. I'm going to talk about liveries in just a sec. We currently don't have any other variants planned. I've seen a lot of discussion about other variants. There's a lot of variants. So currently we only are focusing on those 2. And this is probably going to be an MSFS24 exclusive release, mainly because the model that we currently have is very high poly, and the only way of handling that level of detail efficiently is doing FS24 only, because the modularity, the modular system works very well. For this one, we also have sceneries included: Futenma, New River, and Quantico, and 30 missions. Release timeline, we don't know. After the U2, that's all we know. This is a serial model for the MX53 in particular. The modeling is fully complete, exterior and interior. We are doing currently the first few layers of paint, as you can see here, and we are doing also full riveting and panel lines on this ones. We are going for decal technique. So decal technique is a technique that allows us to do very high detail at very low performance impact. Essentially, it's just placing decals, like stickers, onto the model, and each one of those stickers is the same texture, essentially repeated. So it's very high detail at very low impact. So as you can see, the model is looking very nice. This is the interior model. We have just completed the decals on this one, so it needs to be textured, but the 3D modeling is complete. Animations are also complete, so we can start, texturing everything. And just putting things together. So on the U2, we are approaching the integration phase. On this one, we are a bit further away, but it's going to take a couple of months before we can start integrating everything onto the sim systems. For the CH53, as you can see here, we have display and MFD that you will see in many CH53s. That it's being modeled. As you can see, there's a couple of examples. These are renders. These are not in sim, so the map are gonna be different. But we are going to have the FLIR, the similar FLIR that's, as you know, from MH60, and we also have, your map and HSI and all of that. The configuration for this aircraft, loading, cargo, everything is also going to be done through the displays, through these MFD. And finally, we want your livery ideas. So we put a list of liveries, a tentative list of liveries for both the U2 and the CH-53 on our website. If you go to our website, scroll down to the news section, you're going to see 2 posts with all of the liveries that we currently have planned or that we are currently working on. If you have a livery that you really want and it's not on that list, please put it on the comments. We need more, probably. We need more liveries for these ones. So, yep, any ideas you might have, any liveries you might want to see on the sim, please let us know through those links. Now, with this, that's pretty much everything from my side, so we can move on to Q&A if you have any questions.
So what I've seen is people asking for the liveries and variants of the 105. So I think the easiest thing that we can do is just show you, because then you'll see how comprehensive this thing is. It's worth saying, we like to say these are final liveries, and we're not going to add any more liveries. But I think the biggest issue I have working on an aircraft like this is I just want to paint more things. So if anybody does put forward any very interesting liveries or special liveries, not necessarily special display liveries, but liveries that might have a meaning or a story, then we'll look into doing them. Just to, yeah, we will get a Discord channel open for it as well, so that people can, we'll post some screenshots, because I've seen that people want to see the road ahead and things like that. Just before we go to look at the sim bits, a few other questions people have had, just to rehash. The FLIR is usable, yes. No Red Bull liveries. Green Ranger on YouTube, you are absolutely correct about the red and black one. Granular release date, we're going to say weeks. How long is a piece of string? Fuel level consistency, the fuel level in the tank check is entirely tied to what you set the sim up with. It's just more of a visual representation of what you put on the EFB or in the settings. Rigidity and aerobatics. Now, this is an interesting one. What we are hoping to do is, for the aerobatic one, just tweak it a little bit, because Red Bull, everybody's seen them flying, and the flying balls, their aircraft, I believe, are slightly different to a standard off the factory floor 105. They do have modifications to the rotor assembly to allow them to do the absolutely crazy things that they do. Now, we're aware that people are going to want to do that for themselves. So that's why we will have the aerobatic one, which may be a bit looser, so you can do that sort of thing. Otherwise, our aircraft flies as per the CBS5 spec and all the flight manuals. It is quite tricky to fly, and it's very interesting to fly. But I suppose ultimately, yes, the rigidity of the rotor head is what I believe allows it to be so harsh on the maneuvers. It's the same as things like the Western Lynx. Very interesting question from somebody. They asked for a technical explanation of the decal method. So all that means is, old school art-wise, we would have painted rivets and panel lines onto a texture map. So your 2K, your 4K texture map. As you know, there's only a finite amount of pixels on there. So when you paint, a line will be as sharp as the mapping is on the model, perhaps. With the decal method, we're simply overlaying geometry, which isn't very costly in terms of performance. And then to that same detail, that's where your rivets are coming from. So it means that as close as you want to get to the aircraft. Panel lines, rivets, anything that we've done with that method will be sharp. They'll never degrade, and it will always look awesome. So, whilst I wait to see if there are any more questions, I think we'll just have a look at the 105 config in 24, which is, of course, another great thing about FS24. For those of you not familiar with it, you can choose your variant, which involves kitting it out with the different bits and bobs. And then from there, have a look at liveries. But in terms of the 105, we have the anti-tank guided missile, military. We have medical. We have aerobatic, broadcast, military without the offensive weapons, a tall skid variant, a standard civilian variant, which is just your vanilla 105, the police variant, which is the one I showed earlier with the big searchlight on, and the floats, which is the one that I expertly piloted. And just to quickly run you through liveries, we have these three. So Guardia Civil, Canadian Coast Guard, KLM. They're all for the float variant. For the military, we just have the German Military Weapons School helicopter. For medical, we have ADARC and GBATC, which is a really old Midlands air ambulance. Aerobatic, we have the Airbus MBB 50th livery. We have the MBB factory livery, which is probably one of my favourites, to be honest. And we have the X display aircraft, which is a Kiwi reg. Broadcast, we only have C5N at the moment. For the non-offensive military, we only have the Swedish. So tall skids and civilian basically share the liveries. You can use whichever livery you want with either of those. But for the tall skids, we do have the U2B one and another U2B one. So they are November 131AE and November 889W, just for those that might know them. But otherwise, we have Airborne Fire Solutions, a Polish private one, that one that I won't even begin to try and pronounce. We have FAMET, which is technically a military but not aircraft. And we have Flying Training Organization. Nearly there. Police. So we have CICPC, the Polizei, German police, which is a really classic scheme for the 105. We have Chiltern Air Support, which is British police before it became NPAS. And we have 729RJ of New York City Police, which, yes, seen the comments on YouTube, it is an actual aircraft, though I think it was often kitted out with float gear. We've chosen not to for this one. We fit it out with the police specific gear. Have we missed anything? I don't think we have, but that shows you how comprehensive the package is at the minute. Do we have
I'll take a few
magic?
Yeah,
go on.
I'll take a few of the questions on the chat. External tanks and refueling boom on the Black Hawk, and also the miniguns on the Black Hawk. Those are coming on the UH-60 package, not for the MH-60. So remember, the MH-60 is a naval aircraft, so it doesn't really carry a refueling boom, doesn't carry the miniguns. But definitely for the UH-60, we're going to have those. Then U2 chase cars on landing. Yes, we have announced this already. We're going to have 3 different types of cars, depending on the livery, depending on the era. So depending on variants. So those are coming as well. And working camera on the U2, yes, with a caveat. So in MSFS, we cannot put cameras on a gauge. So you cannot have like a camera looking down, displaying on the screen. What we are doing instead, we are working with the map. So the map view that you see on different gauges on GPS, for example, we are working with the same, and that's gonna move with the aircraft. So essentially, what happens is you are gonna be able to see straight down. You are going to be able to zoom in and out, but you're not going to be able to see weather on there. Sim objects are not going to be rendered on the camera. We are also playing around with another solution for this, essentially changing cameras. So, you have your cockpit view, your external view, have another view that is like your camera view. So those are the two solutions we're working on right now. MX60 on the Romeo model make the high frequency antenna switch. Yes, so this is also coming. I think for the second update for V1.1, we have that.
It's worth saying as well,
let's
the
see what-
UH60 is a separate product. It's not an add-on to the MH60.
Yeah, so the UH60 is separate. We are going to have update or upgrade discounts, but it's two separate products.
It's very interesting. People
12C Dragons. Let me check that one.
Whilst we have a bit of a lull, I just have to get in and do a big shout out to both Cheza on our Discord and John, my laptop buddy and project manager squared for the historic helicopters trip. There's not much I can say about that safely, but all of these people asking us questions in the chat, I just encourage you to go and look at the Historic Helicopters website and have a look at the sort of toys that they have. And who knows? But I'm sure we will bring you the aircraft you are seeking.
They definitely have some interesting aircraft. So
yeah, they're awesome.
You might see a few of those in the future. Who knows? Let's see. There will there be a way to shoot the miniguns on the UH60? Potentially. We are not there yet, but yeah, maybe. When is the UH60 due? So this is probably going to be released after CH53. So we are looking at end of year potentially. C17 updates. We are not allowed to talk about it. Essentially, all of the announcements go through Microsoft. We work, they announce. So, yep. Eventually, you'll see announcements for the C17 from Microsoft directly. Let's see what else.
It's quite an interesting one. Yeah, and I'll just jump in about the whole FS24, FS20 thing, because I know a lot of people are very passionate about it. And from my side of the fence, in being responsible for making our products work in both sims, we're aware that not everybody's on board with 24 just yet. Everybody has their own opinions on which sim is better. And I think, as I was saying in the 105 stream, insofar as we can, we'll support both. But it's when it becomes a problem that we have to effectively build two completely separate products that it doesn't make sense for us to do that. So that's when 24 will become our focus. So aircraft like the CH-53 are big. They're very big. They're very challenging, and it's pushing boundaries like with other aircraft that we've done that were big. And we found that they don't naturally go to FS20. And there's a lot of tech in FS24 that we like to leverage as well for performance and visuals and all that sort of thing. But I suppose our bottom line is, if we can do it, we will do it. But when it becomes a problem, that's when decisions have to be made. So I don't know. I think I'm probably right in saying, aren't I, Gabriel, that it's for now, a project by project sort of approach with FS20 and 24.
Yeah, as Dan said, there's a point that is, it becomes diminishing returns for us. So the more delays we have because we're working on two different versions of the same project, quite frankly, like everyone gets angry because people want to have their aircraft released. Updates take longer. Everything is a lot longer. It's essentially not twice the work, but it's a lot more work. So at some point this year, we have to drop FS20. It's just the reality, and it's a reality that you're gonna see from many different developers, especially because we are seeing that a lot of people are using FS24 more than FS20 these days. When, I'm not entirely sure. U2 is coming for both platforms. The VO105 is coming out for both platforms. CH53, I think we have decided FS24 only, particularly because the 3 model is very detailed. So it's just a lot of geometry that FS20 cannot handle. Will there be more projects for FS20 after CH53? Potentially. I'm not sure just yet. AH1 Cobra. I don't think we currently have it planned, but we might be able to look into it.
The difficulty with the Cobra for us is, I think, access, isn't it? Because it is something that everybody loves the Cobra, but it's very difficult for us to get hands on with one. So, hint, hint, if anybody can help us with that.
There's a few in museums that we might be able to access, but yeah, it's not something that we have planned for this year, but potentially next year, who knows? We are open to look into projects for next year.
I keep seeing this one pop up on the chat as well about a revamp. The Corsair's not ours. The Corsair's it's a Blackbird project, isn't it?
Yep.
So we can't comment on that one.
Oh yeah, PlayStation. There's one comment about PlayStation. I was actually going to add one slide about it. I forgot. But yeah, PS5, we currently don't have any news about when it's going to be available, like Marketplace and the SDK, when it's going to be available. I've heard that it's going to take a few months, but that's all I know. So at this time, I'm unable to say. I mean, definitely whenever we have an SDK, whenever the Marketplace is available, you are going to see all of our catalog in PS5. It's just that we currently have no information about it. And we are getting a lot of comments these days, like pretty much daily, but unfortunately, we don't have any information.
Questions about
Osprey version 2. Oh yeah. Oh. Go ahead.
No, there are so many questions about an English Electric Lightning, and I mean,
I know you get excited about that one.
Many people on the team know it's my favorite aircraft. It's the first one I ever worked on at museums. We can't commit to that one because we know that we don't know. We think there's one coming. And I think, as much as I love the Lightning, I don't think there would be room for two. But again, never say never. Yeah. We like to do passion projects every so often, so
we'll see, I guess. We'll see what happens. Yeah, so Osprey version 2. So we are starting to work on that one. We are starting from the ground up, so everything is going to be changed. The 3 models, the systems, flight model particularly. We are experimenting with a new way of doing the nacelles, the rotating nacelles. As for ETAs, I'm not sure, but it's coming. Maybe early next year potentially, but yeah, it's a project that we are definitely working or starting to work on. Let's see what else. Flare removal. So
flare removal.
That's a big one. Not sure, Dan, if you want to comment about it.
Yeah, it's we have our internal reasons for not doing a flare removal. Unfortunately, we can't support the livery creators uploading them because it's a breach of EULA. In order to do it, you have to redistribute effectively what is seen as source files. And we can't support that. Sorry, guys.
In terms of us allowing flare removal through an option on the AFB, it's something that we could consider. It requires a bit more work than you guys think, because I don't know, it might be a small cosmetic thing, but I don't feel great about having no flare, but then you can go into a flare page and you see a full image. So those cases need to be handled. It's not just hide the model and that's it, in my opinion, anyways. So it's a bit more work. We have priorities, which is the APU fixes, bug fixes. So it's something that we definitely have on our list. I'm not sure when or if we are going to do it, but potentially maybe one day. What else? BK117. Let's see. Well, to be honest, first time I see this helicopter.
Yeah, I believe it's got a lot of parts that we can reuse from the BO105. They were quite close to it.
Could be. Yeah, it could be interesting.
Out for sure.
There's a fair few operators as well, so that's always nice. You know, we always try to go for helicopters that are either very well known, or aircraft in general, that are very well known or have many operators, because you know that brings more interest and that justifies the fact that we're working on that one. So yeah, I mean, this one looks nice and it's quite similar to the VO. So yeah, maybe, who knows. Any other questions, guys? Oh yeah, is there going to come a rescue mission mode without hoisting? This is available. It's currently available. So if you go to Mission Hub, there's two options for search and rescue missions. There's one that requires hoisting. There's one that is just landing. So you just land next to the patient, and just wait for, I think it's 1 minute, and then they take off again. So it's already possible. I don't think there's any missions, like predefined missions using this one. But you can create your own mission currently. External mods planned for the CH-47, bigger tanks, long nose. So those are slightly different variants. We are looking into other variants, so including those, either British variants or modern variants, like the CH-47 Foxtrot. So we are looking into those. I cannot provide any timelines for that because it's very early on. I think, given that there's two CH-47Ds on the market, there might be a market for an F, but I'm not sure. Yeah, so the glass cockpit that I just mentioned, that it's a completely different variant. So it's a different 3D model, externally 3D model. It's a different cockpit 3D model, so it's ultimately a lot of work. It's essentially working on a new aircraft. So it has to be a separate product, and we don't really know we don't have any timelines on that. C-27, we have actually discussed quite a bit about it. I personally like the C-27, so maybe one day. The good thing about the good thing about some of these aircraft. The what?
Have a look at the historic helicopters website, guys, and
yeah, I was gonna say the good thing about these sort of aircraft, so the C-27 and even the CH-47F, is that the avionics are not too different between. I mean, it's different suites, but the UIs are quite similar. So developing one, we can easily adapt into different sort of UIs. It's just that we don't have any avionics base to work from for those aircraft. So we have to develop a full suite, which always takes a lot of time. It's probably the most costly and time-consuming thing about developing particularly a glass cockpit aircraft. So yeah, that also touches into the CAS avionics upgrade. If we do the CH-47F, the MH-60 Tango uses exactly the same avionics suite. It's also CAS. So developing one helicopter, we have like 2 or 3 different helicopters that we could do with one single avionics suite. It's something that we definitely are considering if we decide to go for a CH-47F. Night vision, yes, it's coming to MH60. It's currently on the CH-47. It's currently available, and it's also coming to the MV-22 eventually. So essentially, all of our products are going to have night vision, or all of the helicopters that make sense to have night vision. I don't think you're gonna see night vision on the U2, for example, because it doesn't really make sense. But yeah. Any other questions, guys? Otherwise, I think we can end the stream for today.
The last comment on YouTube.
Wait. There's a very good question here. So is that 105 the secret where you tease at FS Expo? Potentially not. So I'm just gonna leave it there. There might be other things coming up this year. Who knows? We'll see. It's all time dependent. There's other people involved. As you can see, we are working on a lot of collaborations these days. So yeah, we'll see. Skyraider missions. Skyraider missions, we currently don't have any missions planned for the short term. Basically, we're focusing on updates. And we don't have capacity to work on the missions at this time. So potentially, maybe in the future, we might have a few missions, like a mission pack available for the Skyraider. We are also looking for mission creators. So if you're like quite familiar with Mission Hub and you want to collaborate, let us know, and we can discuss with you. But yeah, that's the thing with Skyraider. I haven't seen a lot of interest for missions. We don't currently have the capacity. We prefer spending that capacity on updates. So all right, guys, if you don't have any other questions, we can just end the stream for today and, well, get back to work. There's updates to work on.
There's many things to work on. And again, a big thanks to the guys at Historic Helicopters and John, and also to the guys that are with us. So Adi from Project Stratosphere and our very own Vazi. Thank you for